Okay, this is the Planning Committee meeting of February 12th. And could we get a roll call, please?
Good morning. Vice Chair Ranjiv Kush.
Here.
Director Diana Mayer.
Here.
Director Matt Sampson.
Here.
Director Jed Smith.
Here.
Chair Larry Russell.
Here. Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment on the agenda?
There are none.
Roll call.
Vice Chair Kush.
Aye.
Director Mayer.
Aye.
Director Sampson.
Yes.
Director Smith.
Aye.
Chair Russell.
Aye. Public comment on non-agenda matters.
There are none.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Vice Chair Kush.
Aye.
Director Mayer.
Aye.
Director Sampson.
Yes.
Director Smith.
Aye.
Chair Russell.
Aye. Okay, Capital Improvement Program, Bolinas Road Pipeline Replacement Project.
Hi, good morning, directors. My name is Zach Talbot, Engineering Manager of Design. This morning, I'm accompanied by Nick Tribble, who's an Assistant Engineer and the Project Engineer for this project.
Good morning, directors.
Hi, Nick. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Nicholas Tribble. I'm an assistant engineer on the design team. And I'm here to present the Bolinas Road Pipeline Replacement Project. This project is in support of the district's capital improvement program and is located in the town of Fairfax. This project will install approximately 4,350 feet of new 10, 8, 6, and 4-inch welded steel pipe, along with all appurtenances to replace leak-prone cast iron pipe that in some sections is over 100 years old. Staff in the town of Fairfax have coordinated throughout the design phase and will continue to coordinate and meet during the construction phase to address alignment on construction activities, traffic control, and public communication. The engineer's estimate for this project is $3 million. The project is scheduled to last 218 days with an estimated completion date of September 30th, 2026. The district will open and review bids for this project on February 12th, 2026. If bid documents are acceptable, staff will make a recommendation for consideration of project approval at a future regularly scheduled board meeting. Staff recommends the Planning Committee review and comment on the Bolinas Road Pipeline Replacement Project.
Thank you. Board questions? None? Okay.
Yeah, Larry, I just wanted to confirm, Zach, thanks for the update. Good to hear about the project. How is the coordination going with the town of Fairfax on this?
Yeah, it's going very well. We started coordinating when we reached out for permit conditions, and as we got close to 100% design, we were having probably bi-weekly meetings. We're in contact with the Public Works Director and the city or the town manager, and they're very much aware of our schedule and timeline, and they've asked us to speak at one of their council meetings, and we've agreed to do so to answer any questions there.
Great. Okay, I'm glad that there's an opportunity to present this to the town councilors. When is that meeting? Do you remember?
I believe it's March 4th.
Okay.
So it'll be after we have a contractor on board, and so we could answer that question, and we might have preliminary schedule by then, but it depends on how quickly the contractor gives it to us, because that's mostly what they're asking is, can we have a detailed block by block schedule? And that tends to happen after we get the contractor on board. So they're asking the right question, just a little early in the process.
Right. Okay, great. That's good to know. Thanks.
Pretty pricey per foot. How come?
Yeah, when we did potholings out there, that's almost 12 inches depth of AC, and we have a 24-inch transmission line in the road as well, and that trench has actually failed. So according to permit conditions, if we have our own utility with a failed trench, that we're required to pick that up along the way.
What does it mean, failed trench?
Well, when you look at it visually, you could actually see that there's a small divot in the road along the trench line. So it actually is subsided maybe a quarter inch, half an inch. So it just has happened. It's one of the older lines, and
Maybe they've been landing airplanes on that 12 inches.
yeah, could be. So yeah, so we're picking up some of that along the way. So there's a large component of this project that is paving associated with one of our transmission lines. That's also
We have to
on the
put the
road.
12 inches back?
We do on the trench walls itself,
yeah.
but but when we're fanning out, it's 2 inches.
That's interesting. It's just been paved that many times.
I believe so.
Interesting. Okay. Any public comment?
There are none.
Okay. Do we need to do something?
No,
Just information.
it's information, yes.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Pump station fire hardening project.
Good morning. I'm Alicia Irish, the engineering manager in planning, and I'm here today with Brian Verba, who will give an update on the pump station fire hardening project.
Good morning, directors. My name is Brian Verba. I'm an assistant engineer in planning. Today, we will be discussing the pump station fire hardening project, which is a dual benefit project that will increase fire hardening and site security of pump stations. At the 2024 December Planning Committee, staff presented the findings of the above ground infrastructure fire hardening assessment, Goal 2, Objective 1 of the 5-year strategic plan. The pump station fire hardening project built off the 2024 above ground hardening assessment, which was performed in collaboration with the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. The pump station fire hardening project includes vegetation management around pump stations and will focus on defensible space zone 0 and zone 1, since these areas are closest to the pump station. In addition, the project will install fire-rated doors and screens to increase fire hardening and site security. The engineer's estimate for this project is $600,000. Staff is proposing to advertise the project in March of 2026 with a contract award of May 2026. The estimated duration for the project is 180 days. Staff intend to make a recommendation for consideration of project approval and contract award for this item at a future regularly scheduled Board of Directors meeting. Staff recommends the Planning Committee review and comment on the pump station fire hardening project. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Board questions?
No, just thanks for this continued important work.
Good to hear the update. But no questions.
I don't
Chair
have-
Russell, a couple comments.
Yeah, sure.
One, thank you very much for the update and for continuing to push this forward. We got reminded last January of how important this work is and how critical it's going to be to see it to fruition, maintain it, and keep going, because at some point it's going to be a liability if we don't, now that we understand the severity of what could happen for this. So thank you for that. And then the zone 0 piece, I think, is really good to see. It's a lot easier than doing a residential house, forcing people to do it, not have to remove their plants. So good. A couple of things on this. I think, Ben, we should take this data once we're complete, and however we're doing the assessments, and catalog that, and that should be used when we're talking with our insurance agent, because we're doing meaningful work and we're putting significant amount of resources into this. We should see some sort of return on it based on the fact that we're reducing risk in their eyes. And then the second piece is, unfortunately, this is not just a one and done project. And so it would be good to see how we're going to bake into the maintenance of this, whether it's an annual, biannual cycle, whatever the case may be, to continually inspect our stuff, because unfortunately we can't suppress Mother Nature and photosynthesis. So we'll be struggling with that. But thank you very much for this. That's it.
And why is it going to take 6 months?
So we're going to focus initially on the vegetation management piece, and then it takes a little while to get the doors ordered. So that will come after the veg piece, and that's the long time for the contract.
Okay. So it says approve. What do we need to do here? Maybe it doesn't say approve.
No,
Review
it's
it. I
a
see.
reviewing comment.
I see. It's on the other side. Okay. Public comment?
There are none.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, Alicia. Okay. ERP modernization update. Maybe we're running a little early. That's not here yet, huh?
Ben will do it.
We'll wait a minute.
Okay.
He just thought we'd take longer to get here.
today update on our ERP software modernization project. This is specifically for the SAP upgrade that we're going through. We have been to the board a few times in the last year or so, and so we figured this was a good point as we're making some progress on a lot of the different project lanes to provide you with an update and to address any questions you may have. So with that, I'll kick it over to Brad to begin the presentation.
All right. So today we just wanted to give a quick project overview, status update, and kind of where we are with what we call phase 0 of the project. Recap the kind of overall project timeline and sequence as well. And then talk to you a little bit about what we're looking at long-term for a budget for subscription once we get all the SAP modules over to the SaaS subscription model. And then a little bit of summaries and next steps. So quick background, just in case you've forgotten, I'll go really quickly here. Current SAP on-premise solution has been in production for about 23 years. The SAP end of support deadline is December of 2027. So that's the deadline that we're sort of pushing here. That's not per se a hard deadline in that there will be options for extended support, but we'll pay a premium for that. So that's kind of, we're shooting to get off the on-prem solution as quickly as we can. We're moving all of the solutions and modules to a software as a subscription model. So moving everything to the cloud. In order to do that, obviously, we're having to modernize a lot of our internal infrastructure to support it. The approach we've taken is sort of eating the elephant a bite at a time. We're tackling a module by module throughout the solutions, implementing in sort of manageable phases where we can. We are having to modernize third-party tools that we currently use with the on-prem solution along the way. And then where we see opportunities for improvement in our business processes, we're trying to also tackle that at the same time. So currently defined phases, the phase that we're in right now is we're calling phase 0. That covers HR, time entry, self-service for employees, and payroll. We're looking at moving then to phase 1, which would really cover utility billing, customer services, and also integrate with their AMI solution. And hopefully timing is such that we sort of, kind of meet in the middle there. And then the last 2 phases would be covering mostly finance, operations, asset management, and procurement. And those are really sort of we're sort of ramping this project up. That's where the real meat of the project is going to be, and then the real complexities are going to be in those last couple of phases. But hopefully by then we've been through this enough times that we've sort of kind of trained the staff to accommodate the change and also sort of worked on our project methodology and implementation methodology.
Is it basically the same program or they've changed everything?
So they have moved to this composable architecture. So there's some best of breed solutions that have been brought in and integrated with the SAP platform. So for example, in phase 0 for the HR core, we are actually implementing a product called SuccessFactors. So it's an SAP platform or an SAP company, but it's one that they acquired and then integrated into the SAP solution. We've heard tell that the changes to S4, which is the new SAP platform, are most extensive in the finance modules, which is why we're sort of holding off to that for last. So phase 0, kind of quick update on where we're at right now. As I said, we're implementing the SuccessFactors solution, and that covers HR benefits and management, time entry, employee self-service. Payroll is still on something known as Employee Central Payroll, which is still an SAP platform. We're introducing something called the Business Technology Platform, and that really sort of allows us to integrate all the pieces together. We've contracted for something called Preferred Success, which is basically sort of a higher level of service where SAP is really helping us through this transition process. We're getting learning resources lined up for our staff so that they can retrain on the new platforms. And we've recently had to sort of adjust the timeline of phase 0. We were originally going to be looking for a go live April 1 of this year, primarily because of some staff turnover. So we're on our 3rd project manager on our system integrator side. They've had some challenges there, and we're actually adding additional testing and parallel processing into the scope. So right now we're sort of negotiating with the vendor about what the timeline is, but we're looking at mid-October right now as a potential go live date for the new platform. So kind of looking at the bigger picture, if we are finishing HR and payroll this calendar year, 2026, we are currently working on an RFP to do vendor selection in Q2 of this year for phase one, which would be basically customer services, utility billing, and AMI. We worked with a company or an organization called GFOA. I think they're probably one of the few organizations actually older than the district. And they have a consulting and research and consulting center. They were very helpful in terms of helping gather our business requirements for phase one and the customer service side and utility billing. We're going to be implementing a customer portal in advance of phase one. Essentially, we're going to kind of be slipping that in before we go into the customer experience piece and utility billing, so that we can actually again align with the AMI project. There was a real desire for AMI to have the customer portal up and running so that the day we install someone's meter, soon after, we can actually put a door hanger on their front door saying, hey, here's where you can check your usage and see real-time data, rather than there being any sort of time lag. So right now we're looking at early 2027 as a go live for the AMI integration in the customer portal. And then we would continue with the rest of phase one, taking us into Q2 or Q3 of 2027. So I know that that's a lot of timelines to kind of keep track of. I think that obviously a picture kind of makes it a little more digestible here, but you can see right now that we're in the midst of phase one implementation. We're going to front load with the AMI customer portal implementation there in that second swim lane, and then kick off phase one, hopefully in the middle of this year by midsummer. And then you can see the subsequent phases and how they map out and line up for the rest of the year.
When
All
you're
of this
talking
said, go ahead.
About AMI, you're talking about the future or you're talking about the 5,500 meters that are here now?
Both. Yeah.
And will they be integrated first? The
Well,
5,500?
it remains to be seen in the decision on whether those 5,500 will be replaced or not. So I guess that decision is going to have to come first. But either way, if we have existing AMI data that we're collecting, we would present that in the customer portal as well.
How do you see that decision being made? Are you in that loop?
I am. We have actually a meeting from today from 1 till 3 to review 9 RFP responses that we
Okay.
received. And I think there were 20 or so organizations and firms that actually, downloaded the RFP materials. We got 9 completed responses. So it's a good turnout. Yes, I think over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be actually making that selection process, and you'll be hearing from Craig on that
Cool.
shortly.
How's the timeline looking with AMI with the RFP selection right now? Is it going to be pretty close to lining up with the with this timeline?
It should, and one of the advantages we have here is that the customer portal for our platform is known as SEW, from a company called SEW. Will actually be doing a sole source justification for them because they are the only platform that's certified integrated with SAP, and they actually do the implementation themselves. So we're not going to have to go through a system integrator selection process for that SEW portal.
And so I'll just clarify, I think Brad said the same thing, but so SEW would be the portal. It's more of a broader customer service portal that also imports AMI from various different vendors. And so the idea there's bringing it all into one place that's the portal, and that's also integrated with our customer service and water efficiency functions. And so as we're setting up S4, which is the future state of SAP, it'll be able to be lifted right back onto that. And so we'll have more functionality customer service wise, paying your bill, requesting services, applying for leak adjustments, applying for rebates. All that will be much more self-service, full service within one portal, but that's going to be 2 to 3 years out. And so we're doing this first phase now just to make sure we have a landing place for all our AMI reads that customers can feel good about. And then we'll build out the functionality over the next 2 years.
No, that sounds good. In 2 to 3 years, will customers be able to look back on their legacy water use pre-AMI as well, just to see how we're doing in terms of when AMI becomes implemented?
Yeah, we have all of that data, so it's just a matter of making it digestible to the customer. It's going to be a little bit awkward in the sense we have a once every 2 month read now, and that'll be replaced with a much more frequent read. But we have all the data, so it's just a matter of working with our integrators to be able to expose it and make it easy for the customer to see. So yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
So to wrap the project up, we are looking at, towards the end of 2027, just as we hit the product sort of end of life, going on extended maintenance, obviously, for a short period of time, hopefully, and then implementing phase 2 and 3, which would basically be the operations, finance, accounting, procurement, and asset management. So with respect to the overall subscription of SAP, we are working right now with SAP to develop a bill of materials, sort of a roadmap, if you will, of all the products that we would be subscribing to over time, building a sort of a ramp up to that so that we're not actually paying for something that we're not using yet. This would be a long-term 5-year contractual commitment. We'll add the modules, as I said, as needed. The huge advantage of us moving to cloud, all systems maintenance and administration is really going to be handled by the SAP Cloud Services team. So we offload that burden from the internal team, software updates, patches, feature releases, again, something that's managed entirely by SAP. So that's really the huge benefit of going to the cloud in this case.
It's invisible to the user.
It is invisible to the user. Yeah. So this is time for a little maybe sticker shock a tad, but this would be the full all-in pricing across all modules for SAP, and they are sort of listed in a sense sort of in sequence of how we're going to ramp up. So we've already started our subscription with SuccessFactors. That was late year before last, late December. We're going to add the SEW customer portal specifically so that we can kind of present that AMI data to our customers, move on to customer experience and utilities billing, and then finance, accounting, and procurement. As you can see, operations and asset management kind of comes last. And then layered in all of that is the analytics, so business intelligence, AI tools for analytics and reporting, and then, of course, integration services. So this kind of gives you a picture right now. Negotiations are ongoing. This is sort of the first pass. I would call this, suggested retail pricing. We haven't had a chance to kind of sharpen pencils and whatnot. And there's also some offsets that are not really presented here that once we do get everything over to the SAP subscriptions, some maintenance costs that we're able to basically, recapture as we go forward.
So there's about $1.5 million a year.
That's
forever,
right.
basically.
In perpetuity.
How's that compare to what we're paying now?
Well, we pay about $200,000 in just software maintenance for the on-prem licensing. We also have quite a lot of activity in professional services in terms of supporting the platform and making changes to the platform. There's about 3 different vendors we work with. I would say each of those are probably in the $200,000 range, if not higher, each year. And then on top of that, we also have a subscription to what are called BSI tax updates. And that's basically for our payroll processes. These are any sort of tax updates, both federal and state, that get incorporated into our system for tax calculations. That is costing us about $200,000 a year.
So back of the napkin math, just a couple $100,000 more a year than what we're paying now. Does that sound right?
Probably about three to 400 more. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I don't need to spend too much time kind of rehashing this, but we'll be doing our final testing for payroll this summer and fall. Hopefully go live late December. Mid-October to late December is sort of the window. AMI customer portal, as I said, tentative go live would be very early in 2027, and hopefully that coincides with our first round of meter installations.
Do we have a QC method to? Before both of your time, there was a problem with the accounting payroll. We had to go back and pay employees paid that they'd earned but weren't paid. Do we have a QC plan for making sure that can't happen or doesn't happen again?
So the payroll in the new SuccessFactors platform and what's called Employee Central Payroll is slightly different. You actually have a lot of those quality checks happening at the front end when you run sort of a simulated run of payroll. And then they have these kind of key performance indicators that they monitor to look for anomalies. So the idea is you can hopefully catch those before you even cut checks. Yeah, that's certainly the intention is to improve that overall payroll process.
And so I think that's the normal payroll process Brad's talking about. There's a lot more kind of system checks and kind of validations that happen on a biweekly period. But I think what you're getting at is as part of the project implementation, we have 3 months of parallel testing. So we're going to be running side-by-side payrolls in our old system and in the new system, making sure they're exactly down to the penny. Because that is a common problem when you put in payroll systems is all of a sudden things spit out the wrong way and it takes forever to figure out what's going on in there. So while we don't have an overly complex kind of architecture in terms of what we need to pay, we still do have some complexities, and we're going through that right now with the project team. I mean, little things just like split work weeks and the regular rate of pay for California and overtime and all that stuff. So we're working hard on that now to define it well, but we've also built in 3 months of parallel testing at the end of the project, and that's when we give the final thumbs up or thumbs down. So we're not going to go live if it's not working well. We'll keep on, it's a milestone-based contract with this company, so we'll keep on working until we get it right. As Brad said, we have the luxury in this case of knowing that our current system is not going away. It may cost us a little more in premium support, but it's not going away. So we're not in a rush to have to cut over. And so we'll make sure we do it right.
Good, good. The SAP folks are in Germany, or they're here, or where are they?
So our systems integrator is Florida-based. SAP, yes, they're headquartered in Germany, but they have presence obviously in the U.S. and here in the West Coast.
And our reps are mostly in like Texas and Colorado. Is that right for Texas for SAP?
Yes,
yeah.
For the most part.
They've come out a few times. And as Brad said, we're meeting with them pretty regularly, trying to figure out this 5-year kind of spend and the ramp up and ramp down. And the list, I mean, Brad had 5 items there, 5 or 6 kind of groups of the items, but underneath that, there's probably 25 or 30 different products. And that's kind of just the new environment for subscription based. And so we're evaluating each and every one of those to find out if there's a value in each of those, what we need to be able to kind of translate our old system into the new system. So it's complicated, but we're working through that. And we wanted to kind of give you a preview here, and we'll come back obviously in the summertime with more information.
And who do we actually pay?
SAP.
SAP. They deal with everybody else.
Yep. And then, in addition to continuing to work with SAP and refining that subscription model, we're going to probably have more engagements with GFOA in terms of the requirements gathering. So before each of these phases, we're going to be drafting an RFP. Before we can draft the RFP, usually there's a requirements gathering phase that goes on.
And just for clarification, the GFOA stands for Government Finance Officers Association. It's a nationwide, including Canada, organization of best practices, mostly for cities and towns, but they have a consulting arm that kind of helps us go through, and they've been through many of these projects, and we have a pretty good team there helping us, making sure we're asking all the right questions in terms of requirements gathering.
Sounds like a great choice. I was kind of curious when you said it's older than us.
I think 1906 was when they were founded, yeah.
That's pretty old. Especially for them, I was thinking about that. I thought it was a company, first of all. I mean, it kind of is a company, I guess, but it's not a group. But I was kind of curious what they used to do, to way back 100 years ago. So I think you've answered that, though. They're just servicing the government.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. All right. So you will see us again on several occasions here. First, of course, to address the AMI customer portal licensing and implementation. So probably in a March to April timeframe, we'll be back with an actual proposal from SEW for your approval. System integrator contract for phase 1, which would be CX and utility billing. Before we can kick off phase 1, we are going to have to address that bill of materials from SAP and kind of start that subscription process. So that's the kind of third item you'll see.
And that's software or hardware?
Software. I think that's it.
Cool. Thank you.
I have a question. From the outside, it seems a little bit clunky. Is this? I guess, Brett, you made that comment about this is kind of software as a service, like this is how they're doing it these days. Is it just that we have to do all these separate pieces? It can't be integrated kind of all at once? Or are we doing that because you want to identify what pieces of it we actually need, and we may not need to get the deluxe version of some of the software?
I'll take first shot at that, and then Brad can maybe fill it in. The idea there is there's so many functions that go with the SAP program that we have now. We've had it for 20 years. We've built it out in many areas across the organization, whether it's work orders, procurement, just basic accounting, budgeting, payroll. It's very complex, and some agencies will just do one big huge effort and bring in 20 consultants and just spend all of your time digging into that. We're a pretty small organization and pretty thinly staffed, so we don't really have that extra ability. And so we're trying to basically take it piece by piece, kind of work group by work group. And it's turned out that that's a pretty good strategy because we're learning, after 23 years, it's not the same people that implemented the SAP that are using it now. So we're kind of having to dig in and really make sure we're asking all the work groups the right questions and then kind of figuring out how they even use the system before we go forward. So it's letting us kind of learn as we go. It's letting the project team get some experience as we go. And each of the, we've been in 3 phases now so far, kind of behind the scenes. And in each of those, we've learned more about SAP, what the old system did. Do we even need that in the new system? Does the new system have better functionality? Should we do better reports? Should we have more kind of analytics built into that? So we're learning as we go and we're modifying. So it's giving us a chance to kind of, adjust as we go and make the right decisions. Because SAP to me is it's a huge organization and they have so many different functionalities that may or may not be the right size for us. And so we're learning about SAP, we're learning about ourselves, and our project teams kind of building their confidence as they go too. So there's a lot of benefits for that. It is a little bit clunky and we feel that internally too, but I think it's the best way to go about it rather than to kind of jump fully in before we know what we're getting into.
That's really helpful. I was very surprised that there's not an AMI software that integrates. You'd think it would. It's not. It's going to take that information. You'd think it would also integrate with a customer portal that would be built into the software. It sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, you kind of have to patch it over. Is that right?
Well, again, my understanding on this is that so each AMI vendor typically will have their own software that if you just wanted to use their software, you could. I think right now we have a thing called Ion Water with our current Badger meters. And so if you wanted your own login just to get the AMI information only, you'd have that natively. But we want to have kind of a more comprehensive experience for our customers where they can get their bill paying information. They can get other district announcements. We can communicate to them through their kind of login portal. They have to have a password and sign into. So basically, we're taking the same information that would go to that native application, and we're just kind of copying it over into our portal so you can see everything all at once without having to log into multiple different places or kind of patch things together on your own. So that's the benefit of SCW. And then, as Brad mentioned, it goes with SAP as well, so you can get some automated functions within your account for other reasons too. So we're seeing a lot of benefits there of the SCW product.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the way to think about it is SAP is the core database for the whole enterprise. Underneath that, you'll have different modules that SAP sells most of, and we're buying most of our modules from them, but there are going to be others from other software vendors like our AMI vendors that'll supply that will integrate into the SAP database and integrate into our customer system. So there's middleware smarts that you're bringing in there that'll be important for the business information and to optimize what we're doing. This is just such a massively important move for this agency. It can't be understated. I know it's not as sexy as pipes and dams and reservoirs, but this is going to make us smarter. It's going to make us more thoughtful. It's going to make our customers more efficient. It's going to make our employees happier. It's going to make our billing easier. It's going to make our communications better. This is one of the main reasons why we had to raise rates, because this was underfunded for decades. And we're finally going to be able to modernize this agency across the board and not have to keep it together through Band-Aids and rubber bands and paper clips. So massively important. I think you're handling it exactly right. I do think you're going to have some negotiating power when it comes down to pricing. There's different ways an agency like ours with our long-term ability to fund that you could either pay up front, you could pay over time. So I'm sure, Brett, you can think about how to optimize that. They will be more than happy to come up with different ways for us to pay them that'll be beneficial to us that might not be to others. Thank you.
Brad, just one small point. I think I heard you say phase 0, where we are right now, has been delayed due to staff turnover. I wasn't sure if that's on our end or on the service provider end.
Largely with the systems integrator. So we, as I mentioned, we're on our 3rd project manager, and that was fairly disruptive because we'd have, we'd get some momentum on the project manager left, and then we'd have sort of downtime, and then the new project manager was getting up to speed.
Right.
So we also had a key resource on the time entry side and time validation and processing side, who was who left the organization and was replaced. So again, we're having to kind of go back and restart some of that discovery process, let that resource get up to speed. So that's largely what's kind of thrown us on the timeline. You know, as Brett mentioned, we're not necessarily under any pressure to meet a deadline here. So it actually, we're fine with sort of, you know, resetting a little bit and taking our time, making sure we get it right.
Okay. All right. But no major concerns over, you know, the implementation process.
No, I don't think so. It's you know, it's kind of, it was why we sort of carved this out as sort of a preliminary phase, so we could actually do two things. We could find out kind of our organization's capacity to absorb change and take on change, and also, you know, not disrupt the day-to-day operations as best we could. So it's been a great learning experience. We've learned a lot on the front end in terms of how to craft our RFPs and craft our requirements to basically kind of make sure that there's no complications or ambiguities down the road. We've learned, you know, a lot about projects kickoff and how to build and start that momentum, and also just how to collaborate with the systems integrator. So we're taking all those lessons into the next phase. So
great. Thank you for the update. I hope you'll keep this up, because we're all learning a lot from the process. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you again for that. On the delay component, is that affecting cost at all on this project?
We're discussing that with the systems integrator now. Obviously, you know, we're extending the timeline by potentially 9 more months. There is contingency funds that we built into the project proposal, and we're just sort of now, you know, kind of discussing that with the vendor.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's early to start talking contingency already, as opposed to putting it back on them if they're the ones with the issues.
We've largely been kind of pushing back on them, but we certainly want, you know, we don't want them to be underwater as well. We want them to, you know, succeed just as we succeed. So
great, thank you. And then just 2 quick thank yous. One, the quotes that you added to the slide deck were noticed and appreciated, so thank you. But also just thank you, because this is a massive lift. And the amount of time and staff work that's going into this is probably forcing you to be here later than you want to each day. So thank you for your effort to move this forward.
I appreciate the effort as well. I was trained little steps for little feet. And I think that's exactly part of the clunky thing. Is it's much better to be careful and cautious than to take chances. And of course, Brett, you remember the fiasco with the county and the SAP. I never forgot that. The water district offered to help the county, because we had been making SAP work for years, and the county blew us off, which I thought was kind of interesting. So it can be a little tricky, this business. Do you actually know where SAP runs their server? Is it sitting somewhere? And
we are in Reston, Virginia. That's the data center that we've chosen, and we specifically kind of wanted to stay out of the seismic zones in California. There are some options kind of Midwest and Texas, but the Reston, Virginia data center is closely aligned with our M365 services as well.
And it's SAP's data center?
They're actually hosting in Azure, Microsoft Azure.
Cool. Public comment?
Yes, we do. Mr. Larry Minikis, please. And if you can please speak into the mic, Mr. Minikis, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, good morning, and I appreciate the presentation this morning, and agree that a lot of work has gone into that. And Larry, thank you for reminding us of what happened with Marin County. I was also going to raise that. I really want to thank Director Smith for his comments, and I think what would be helpful, I've been listening to or been involved with this process for some time, so I'm well aware of a lot of the benefits, but in your March presentation, when you bring it back to the board, bring a slide to the public in regard to the benefits of this project. I think that would be helpful. And thanks, that's my comment.
Thank you, Larry.
There are no further speakers.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to your next presentation with us and moving forward. I presume they have some means of shutting us down if we were to miss a payment or something?
Certainly they have total control of our infrastructure, yes, but I don't think we've had any.
We're not going to do that.
We're not
but,
going to have that
yeah.
relationship with SAP.
It's just an interesting concept that they throttle. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next meeting is March 24th, and we have a closed session.
And there is no public comment for the closed session.
Okay, the closed session adjourned at 10:45 with no reportable action.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, this is